Today, we're going to be looking at how to choose a secure password. It's now more important than ever to make sure your accounts are secure. We're going to be looking at what it is that makes a password secure, the biggest mistakes people make when creating a password, and tips on how to create secure, memorable passwords. Hi, it's your favourite Wise Guy Charlie here, bringing you more great advice from Wise Guys, where we look after you, not just your device. Today, we're here to talk about the importance of using a secure password. Despite more people than ever being victims of digital hacking, research shows that in 2018, we are still using terrible passwords. Did you know the most commonly used passwords for the last 5 years in a row are 123456 and the word password? And no, changing the S's for fives does not make it a secure password. If you have one of these passwords or something similar, you should stay tuned. Having an unsecure password is like leaving the door to your house wide open and expecting nobody to come in and take something. Some of your most sensitive and personal information is at risk if your password is not secure, including your personal emails, photos of your friends and family, contact information, and even your bank account. So, let's start by taking a look at what not to do. Don't use common or obvious phrases. The likes of QWERTY, 123456 and password are simply not keeping your account secure. Although they're easy to remember and quick and easy to type, they're also extremely easy for someone to guess. Don't use short passwords. Short passwords are just as bad as having common or obvious passwords. Sophisticated software can crack these in a matter of minutes. Don't use passwords people are likely to know. For example, if your dog's name's Buster or your favourite football team's AFC Bournemouth, don't use these as your passwords, as these are the ones that people are likely to guess first. And finally, don't reuse passwords. This one is the hardest to do, and almost all of us are guilty of it, because having the same password is so easy to remember. But if one of your accounts was to be compromised and you did use the same password for everything, whoever has these details now has access to all of your online accounts. Choosing a secure password isn't as difficult as it sounds. Protecting your data effectively is as simple as following these 4 steps. 1. Try to avoid using actual words. Instead, use a random mixture of uppercase and lowercase letters with numbers and symbols. One of the best pieces of advice you can follow when creating a password is using a random mixture of letters, numbers and symbols. This is a lot less difficult than it actually sounds. Try to think of a memorable phrase such as "we've got your back." Then take the first letter from each of these words. So you've got the W from we've, the G from got, the Y from your, and the B from back, making your password WGYB. Then try to add a number and a symbol such as an exclamation mark or a full stop. For the purpose of this video, we've shortened this password, but you should try to make sure that your password has a minimum of 8 characters. 2. Change your password regularly. You should try and get into the habit of changing your password frequently. So often now we hear of high-profile companies being compromised and many of its customers' personal data stolen. By changing your passwords regularly, you're minimising the effect that this can have on you personally. 3. Use multiple words. If remembering a password made up of random letters, numbers and symbols is going to be too hard for you to remember, try to use multiple words instead. Always try to add at least one number and symbol to any password. Sophisticated software will generally take longer to crack these passwords than those made up of single words. 4. And finally, bigger is better. When it comes to passwords, size really does matter. Quite simply, the longer your password, the more secure it is. So, let's summarise the key points to remember when choosing a secure password. Don't use common or obvious phrases. Try to use a random mixture of letters, numbers and symbols. Don't use short passwords. The longer your password is, the better. Try to make sure your passwords have a minimum of 8 characters. Don't use passwords people are likely to know. Your dog's name or favourite football team are easy to remember, but these are the first things people are likely to guess. Try to avoid using the same password and change your passwords regularly. using the same password for all of your accounts puts your data at greater risk. If you're making any of the mistakes that we've discussed in this video and you'd like help with this or any other problem, call us free on the number below. Wise Guys is a Which Trusted trader who can provide professional advice and support. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. For regular tech updates, like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, and just remember, we've got your back.